Sylvia was a very beautiful girl who has a fiancé that worked for this wealthy family, and his name was Tony. They are billionaires named Mr. and Mrs. Richard. They own a lot of skills, businesses, real estate, cars, all the business you name it. They both are in their late 60s. They don't have children, but was only blessed with one son who was 20 years old. The son was not interested in his father and mother's business. All he cares about was having fun with women, drugs, drinking, smoking and doing illegal stuff, and hanging out with bad friends. One day, they found him dead, and the cause of his death was drug overdose. His mother and father was extremely devastated that they had lost their only child. The one who supposed to carry on their lineage was gone. As people came to respect for the loss of their child, his mother overheard them talking behind her back how bad the son was, and now all their wealth is gone. And all their wealth will go to their relative who they don't want to share it with them. As soon as the people left, Mrs. Richard got angry as if something like the rage inside her. She decided to go see this powerful water goddess, a seer who prophesy anything and it come to pass. All politicians, pastors, wealthy businessmen, businesswomen, name it, they all go to this woman. Anything they ask for is done. Bearing in mind, this was not her first time seeing her. She got there. He held her in her arms and told her to cry her heart out. Soon after, she came back to normal and said, "My son's wedding is next month. This is it." She looked at her and thought what was going on, and she said, "Why do you look surprised? Don't you know that it will bring my son back? Because who is going to carry on our lineage? And our only son is gone," said Mrs. Richard. "I am not ready to let him go." And he said to her, "Do you know the consequences and the price to pay? And the price is blood." And she said that it is not a problem. And the woman went on and told her that she must bring a guy who is the same age as her dead son, who they will use for the sacrifice. And she said, "No problem." The next day, Mrs. Richard went and brought a guy, and the seer did the sacrifice and honor life and used his spirit to invoke his son. So, and before her eyes, her son reappeared like nothing happened, like was never gone. So she took her son home, excited, got them to make a lot of food because they were having celebrations. So when she got home, she told her husband and said, "Dear, look, our son is back." Obviously, the husband was excited and he said, "Son, welcome back. Where have you been?" And this sound wired to all the domestic staff, because little did they know that the seat wasn't empty. Their son was brought back to life, and he would sat in that same chair, talking, eating, drinking with his parents. Soon after, the mother said, "We must find him a wife." A lot of the workers have saw that the mother has gone insane because she lost her son, and because why is she talking to an empty space, and in that she was going to find him a wife. So Sylvia fiance overheard her talking updates, and soon after she would go out looking for a wife for her son, her dear son. And it is not just any wife, she must come from a very, very poor family background. So Sylvia fiance came back home excited and told Sylvia that we have hit the jackpot, and told everything to Sylvia. And he said, "Listen, why didn't you pretend to go there and sell fruits? Then you can get married into their family and all the wealth will be transferred to us." So At the time, Sylvia thought about it and said, after all, their son is dead, so what worse could happen? And Sylvia agreed to it. She started selling fruits in that neighborhood one day. Mrs. Richards saw Sylvia and she came out of her car and she said, I am looking for a wife for my son and I think you should bring your parents, said Mrs. Richards. She gave Sylvia a large sum of money and said, bring your parents to come and see me. Sylvia was extremely excited and she rushed home and narrated the details to her mother and father and gave them the money that Mrs. Richards gave her. And they were very, very happy and excited. And the day came and Sylvia and her parents went to see Mrs. Richards. When they got there, they were happy to see Sylvia and her parents. They made them food, drinks, name it. Sylvia and her parents sat there, chat, and she dropped the bombshell. Mrs. Richards told Sylvia's parents that she wants Sylvia to marry her dead son. And immediately, Sylvia's mother stood up and told Sylvia that they should go home. But Sylvia's father commanded his wife to shut up and sit down because he was in agreement and he was prepared for it. So they rewarded Sylvia's parents a massive house, cars, and a lot of money to last for them to the rest of their lives. So they celebrated the wedding, and on the wedding day, they only invited the rich friends of them who knew what they had done, and it was holding onto his picture, dancing and celebrating. After the celebration was over and night came, and Sylvia went to sleep, but she heard a knock on her door, and it was her mother-in-law, Mrs. Richard. She brought her this massive bowl, and that bowl was containing a blood, and she said, you must wash your face and bath in that blood. She commanded her not to dry herself and sleep, and her husband would visit her at night. Sylvia thought that she was just bluffing, but Sylvia didn't know the wise were yet to come. She went to bed and she saw and feel something crawling off her bed and crawling into her clothes. Before she knew what was going on, it was ripping her clothes off, and she looked and it was her dead son, but he felt like someone who has been in dog out from the grave. She screamed. How she screamed! Both her mother and father-in-law rushed into Sylvia's room and asked her what the matter was. And she saw him. The mother-in-law said, who? And Sylvia said, your dead son. And she said, why will you scream for seeing your husband? You was married to him and he would be visiting you every night, said Mrs. Richards. Sylvia was shaking and didn't even know what to do. She couldn't sleep that night, so she sat there until daybreak. The next morning, Mrs. Richard called Sylvia to tell her to get ready, that she would be taking her to go see the powerful water goddess. And Sylvia started wondering what they would do to her. She couldn't say no because she didn't know what the consequences would be. So she decided to go with Mrs. Richard. When they got there, the seer said, we must perform this ritual on you. Sylvia didn't know what the hell she was talking about. So she said, I need you to undress naked and bath on this bloody water that she gave her. She got undressed and she gave her a drink to drink. As soon as Sylvia finished taking the drink, she was going in and out of her consciousness. But she couldn't hear her mother-in-law discussing the water goddess, saying that she thought that life was going to be easy with her. By the time she would be done with Sylvia, she would know. And she also went ahead to say that she was ready for Sylvia to give her grandson. And that grandson was not only their grandson, but it was their son who was going to be brought back to life. And also Sylvia felt herself in her room, felt that she was in a dream, and in her room She was laid on the bed, the floor cracked open, and her dead husband crawled out of the floor, and he was crawling into her private parts. Sylvia could feel his stuff moving inside her. The next day, Sylvia woke up and was dressed in a different dress. She could not remember how she got home. What happened? She do not know, but she got home. She thought it was a dream, like dreaming and seeing things, because this was not normal. Because one minute she was at Sears' house and now she was waking up in her own bedroom. Completely different dress, and Sylvia didn't know what the hell was going on. So she looked around to see if she could see the dress that she was wearing to Sears' house, but she couldn't find them. She was worried and concerned. At the same time, she saw the house help coming to clean her room, and she emptied the trash as if she was leaving. Sylvia could see the dress that she was wearing at the sear in the trash bag. She asked her why her dress was thrown out, and she said last night that she came back home extremely drunk, and she was screaming, shouting and ripping her clothes off, and they had to help her and change. So now they were making her appear like a mad person, as if she was delusional. And she couldn't believe it. So Sylvia waited her mother-in-law to leave the house. As soon as she left, she decided to go and see her fiancé, Tony. And her driver said that she can't go on her own. And Sylvia told the driver that she was just going for a walk, but she wasn't taking taxi straight to her fiancé's house. Little did Sylvia know that she sent her men to track her, to monitor her every single move, and she didn't even know about it, and they reported her back to her. When she got to her fiancé's house and she told him everything, and he said, okay, this is what they want. They want a grandchild, so they must give them a grandchild. So they did, and a sexual intercourse. When Sylvia returned back home and everything's second normal, and a dead husband wasn't visiting her at night. That was what she thought, but she started having wild dreams, and in those dreams he was haunting her. It felt like a snake crawling inside her private parts each night. But that was because he was extremely upset with Sylvia, the fact that she was sleeping with another man and not him. So soon after things was getting wired, she started getting this really wired nightmare and dreams of her dead husband sleeping with her. Anyway, anytime her parents-in-law weren't at home, Sylvia would sneak out to go and see Tony, her fiancé, and they would sleep together. But her mother-in-law, Mrs. Richard, all of a sudden stopped going out, and Sylvia thought she was monitoring her. So one night, as everyone was asleep, as she thought they were asleep, she invited her fiancé Tony into her room, and they started having affairs. All of a sudden, she saw her dead husband appear, and he started strangling her fiancé. She didn't want to make a noise to grab any attention, but she couldn't pull him off her fiancé. So she screamed and he dropped him. He fell on the ground, and she checked him, but he wasn't breathing. Soon after, her mother-in-law rushed in. She pretended like she didn't know what was going on, and she said, who is this man, and why is he laid dead on your bedroom floor? Sylvia told her that he was just one of her workers. She got him to come and help him move the furnitures in her room. So she said no, that she killed him, and if she didn't say the truth, that she would let the law deal with Sylvia, and she would rot in jail. And she was confused and didn't know what to do. So she said if she cooperates with her, and if she produces grandchildren and if she allow her dead son sleep with her each night to give them a grandson, then she would not report her to the police. So she felt relieved at the same time scared so. Following on each night, her dead son would come and sleep with Sylvia. She would just cry but didn't scream. He crawls out of it with his dirty hands, and he would start ripping her clothes into pieces. Then he would crawl like a snake into her private parts, and that would be it. After a couple of months, Sylvia felt sharp pains and something moving inside her stomach. It felt like a massive animal inside her stomach, followed on with a sharp pains. It was extremely uncomfortable, so Sylvia was in pain and crying. Her mother-in-law, Mrs. Richard, came in and asked, "What is the matter?" But as soon as she saw her, she said, "Finally, we'll get to see my grandchild," said Mrs. Richard. Sylvia thought, "What grandchild?" because she do not look pregnant, but she saw her pregnant in her eyes. Means in her mother-in-law's eyes she looked pregnant, but in Sylvia's eyes she couldn't see it. She went on to ring the water goddess, that very soon they would be welcoming her grandchild, and she said she will be there for the delivery. Sylvia was in a lot of pains, discomfort, that she had to ring her parents and told her mother everything. So they came to visit Sylvia. When they got to Sylvia's house, they saw her radiant. They also saw her looking beautiful, but without any pregnancy. But in Sylvia's eye, she felt like someone that was carrying something inside her. Her mother-in-law sees her pregnant, but she didn't see herself pregnant. Likewise, her own parents. But to them, they said there was nothing to worry about, and why did she ring them and told them to come and see her? Sylvia was angry with her parents that made her to get one of her housemaid to explain to her parents what is going on with her. But her parents insisted that nothing was wrong with her, that she's even looking beautiful and radiant ever. So she started planning to escape. But soon, after she was in that much agony, that much pain, she wanted to leave that house to just to go to a church for prayers. And one day, when they left the house, she sneaked out, but she found herself back in her room. She couldn't understand how. From leaving the gates, she was back into her bedroom. She didn't know what was going on, as confused as it was. What happened next will shock you to the core. If you do not want to miss this part 2, please guys, kindly subscribe to my channel at African Tales by Ifenkili. Like and share with family and friends. Turn on your notification button and stay tuned for more interesting and mind-blowing stories coming your way next time. Guys, remain blessed. Bye.